Indie cinema and Disney don't always go hand in hand, nor should they, but there are still some indie pictures that are available to watch on Disney Plus. This particular list is focusing on Disney Plus in the United States, as that's where most people who watch these videos are located. For one reason or another, outside of the United States, there's actually way more selection when it comes to independent films, but also just good movies. So at the end of this video, I'll also drop a few other films that are on the Disney Plus platform that for one reason or another are not available in the United States. Number 4, we have Nai Wài Pó.
我现在83岁了，我感觉我还像20岁。
我今年94岁，觉得都100岁，都很老了。
This is actually a short film from director Sean Wang. Sean Wang is kind of having a breakout year. His feature debut premiered at the Sundance Film Festival and was actually my number 2 film of the entire festival. And this short film was nominated for Best Live Action Short at the Academy Awards. So not a terrible year for Sean Wang. Essentially, this short film follows his 2 real-life grandmothers, Nai and Wài Pó, and it is a emotional, genuine journey of family, of love, and of these relationships that will ultimately end. Number 3 is Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised.
Are you ready to listen to all the beautiful black voices, the beautiful black feeling, the beautiful black waves moving in beautiful air? Are you ready, black people? Are you ready?
This film comes from Amir Questlove Thompson, who is perhaps best known for his role as drummer in the band The Roots. This film is his directorial debut. It is a documentary exploring the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival, which occurred across 6 different Sundays that year, one of which coincided with the Woodstock Music Festival. Of course, the Woodstock Music Festival has garnered tremendous attention over the years, obviously when it was occurring, but in the decades that followed as well, whereas the Harlem Cultural Festival has not received that same attention. So what Questlove aims to do here is a little bit of a cultural reclamation. He went through approximately 40 hours of footage that was recorded of the festival, but very little of it which ever saw the light of day. In fact, it literally sat in a basement over the course of those 50 years or so. This film premiered in 2021 at the Sundance Film Festival and was a rare winner of both the Audience Award and the Grand Jury Prize, so liked by the average attendee and the more hoity-toity critic as well. This is a really fascinating look into Harlem culture, into black music, and the music here is amazing, right? We're talking about music from folks like Stevie Wonder and Nina Simone, and Questlove brings it all together and shows us a side, perhaps, of Harlem of the 60s that most of us were not intimately aware of. Number 2 is Fire of Love.
This is Katya, and this is Maurice. Tomorrow will be their last day.
This is another documentary, this one from Saragossa, and it is a fascinating look at volcanoes, of nature, but at its core of love and romance. It follows 2 volcanologists, Katya and Maurice Kraft, who unfortunately lost their lives together in the 1991 mountains and eruption, and they were aware that this was always a possibility. Both of them were in their lives publicly outspoken about the reality that they could die doing this, but they knew that they would die together doing something that they loved. And so this documentary is not your typical documentary. It is really a love story more than anything else, but it's set against this backdrop of beautiful and terrifying volcano footage, and this ultimately serves as the base of so many beautiful metaphors that can be made about commitment, about passion, about all of these things. So regardless of what interests you in particular, be it the stunning visuals or be it the love story, there should be something in here that can resonate with everyone. Number one is the straight story.
Rosie, I've got to go see Lyle, and I've got to make this trip on my own.
This is an older film, relatively, from 1999, from acclaimed visionary director David Lynch. Of course, Lynch is known for, so many projects: Eraserhead, Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks, for example. And this project is a little bit different than a lot of his other more surreal filmography. This project follows the true story of Alvin Straight, who wants to drive across the Midwest to see his dying brother. Unfortunately, though, his vision is quite poor. He does not have a license, he does not have a car, and so he decides to drive a lawnmower across both Wisconsin and Iowa to see his brother. The Straight story is about the journey, yes, but it's also about the people that he meets along the way. It's about these very human relationships that are able to be formed, and he's a man of few words, but we learn a lot about him and the way that he views the world through this journey. The screenplay here is from John Roach and Mary Sweeney. Sweeney, of course, being Lynch's frequent collaborator and very short-term wife. I think they were married for less than a year, but this screenplay has been very, very critically acclaimed. Little change of scenery here. I thought that I had calculated it perfectly, that I could just squeeze in the length of this video on my last little bit of memory, but alas, I was wrong. Still, we continue, we persevere, and we finish the video. So I believe, as I was saying, this screenplay has been very acclaimed over the years, and the fact that Lynch kind of adheres to it is a testament to his understanding of the vision. Obviously, Lynch is known for his very surrealist tone and aesthetic and themes, and this particular film stays very, very grounded. And that's not meant to be disparaging against Lynch's works that do veer into the surreal and sometimes unreal. He's created some absolutely remarkable projects, but this is certainly unique in his kind of filmography in its very grounded nature. Alright, now on to just a few kind of special mentions. As I alluded to at the beginning of the video, for one reason or another, the US Disney Plus is honestly pretty terrible when it comes to good films. Not to be a complete Marvel hater, there are some pretty decent ones in there, but the US catalog is very focused on the traditional Disney and Marvel projects, whereas Disney Plus outside of the United States actually has a number of pretty great films. First, we have All of Us Strangers, this film from last year from Andrew Haigh. was heartbreaking, it was devastating, it was beautiful, it was emotional. I wish that it got more love in award season, although awards certainly are not everything. Starring Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, both brilliant in this. Andrew Scott has been getting a fair amount of deserved praise. And speaking of the surreal, just a moment ago, this one is full of surrealism. It beautifully balances the magical with the real human relationships, and I would highly, highly recommend giving it a watch. We also have Poor Things on Disney Plus outside of the United States. This one did garner a little bit more attention this last year, latest from Yorgos Lanthimos. He has another project coming out in 2024, Kinds of Kindness, which I'm so stoked about. But Poor Things, another great film from last year, starring Emma Stone, of course, taking home Best Actress at the Academy Awards. It is so many things. It is a drama, it's a comedy. It is an exploration of sexual liberation, of power dynamics, of interpersonal relationships, and Yorgos is one of my personal favorite directors. So again, you may have watched this one already, but definitely give it a watch if you haven't. Next, we have another relatively recent film, The Banshees of Inisherin. This one from director Martin McDonagh, one of my favorites of the year of 2022. It is feckin' hilarious, feckin' beautiful. I'm not going to do full Irish accent, don't worry. But the landscapes are absolutely gorgeous. It will almost undoubtedly make you want to travel to the Isles of Ireland. It stars Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Barry Keoghan, Kerry Condon. Amazing cast, all really deliver a heartfelt and hilarious film. Then we have a few quote-unquote older films, not super old in the grand scheme of things, but relatively speaking. First, we have Waking Life from director Richard Linklater. This is one of his lesser known projects, I would say, especially when you compare it to films like Boyhood or Dazed and Confused or the Before trilogy. And Waking Life is actually an animated picture where essentially we have this young man who is moving through a series of dreams. I first watched this movie when I was very much obsessed with lucid dreaming, so it hit me on a pretty deep existential level. It includes Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy as their characters from the Before trilogy as well, which is my favorite trilogy of all time. It premiered at Sundance to critical acclaim, but never really had much of a box office success. Essentially it is a film on existentialism, on moral philosophy, consciousness, free will, all those very, very light topics. We also have The Prestige from now Academy Award-winning director Christopher Nolan. Again, Nolan doesn't really need much of an introduction, but I'm always surprised by how many people haven't seen The Prestige. Nolan has many great films, but The Prestige is certainly one of his better pieces of work. The screenplay was written by Chris and his brother Jonathan. Jonathan, of course, being responsible for the idea behind Memento, for example. So a wonderful brotherly collaboration here. It stars Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale as kind of dueling magicians. There is a particular act in which one of the magicians cannot, for the life of him, figure out, and I, of course, won't reveal any spoilers, but it is a fascinating and engaging ride. It's Chris Nolan. And lastly, there's actually quite a few more that I could go into that are not on the US Disney Plus, but we also have Dead Poet Society from Peter Weir. This is probably my second favorite Robin Williams performance outside of Good Will Hunting. As a former teacher myself, certainly I can relate to it. As a lover of poetry, I can certainly relate to it, but it is, at this point, I think can be deemed a classic. It evokes a lot of emotion for me, and it shows really the impact that a mentor can have on young folks. It's funny, it's endearing, it's really all of those things. So yeah, again, these are just some bonus films for you to check out if you are outside of the US. Not all of these, obviously, are indie, but they're just good projects to give a watch or a rewatch. If you made it this far, as always, I appreciate it. Do the like thing, comment thing, subscribe thing. It all does help, apparently, I am told. And also, when the next video comes out, you can watch that one too. Thanks.